Welcome back this Easter weekend. AgriTalk's Chip Flory joining us. Chip, another week that trade is in the news. The White House press secretary even saying, yes, the president plans on providing support for farmers. That was a question that was in the press briefing this week. So more talk about market relief in some way.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Tyne, the White House and the Secretary of Agriculture, Rollins, has said many times that they are going to have farmers back. You go back to Commodity Classic when this was first brought up. My reaction at that time was not payments, but it was full support for biofuels. Let's get that rolling. There's been a push for the year-round availability nationwide of E15. There's bipartisan support for that. Let's get it done. That can be our short-term support for farmers. It doesn't need to be a payment. The long-term support can still be 45Z clean fuels production incentives. The deadline to provide some guidance for what the guidance should be from the Internal Revenue Service. Yeah, that's where the guidance has got to come from on this. The deadline for input from stakeholders was this last week. One of those providing some of the input was the Iowa Renewable Fuels Association and Executive Director Monty Shaw. Here's what Monty said that they would like to see in that guidance from the IRS.
We definitely want climate smart agriculture, whatever people want to call it now, regenerative ag, market smart ag, whatever you want to call it. We definitely want farmers to have a chance to participate in this, benefit from it, and help the plants, the producing plants, lower their carbon scores. And we want to get rid of the land use change, all these indirect changes that they penalize row crops with, or even just, U.S. commodities with, versus some of the other commodities, so that we can have a more level playing field.
So they don't think 45Z is dead.
A lot of people think that it might be dead because it's part of the Inflation Reduction Act.
Right.
But there is enough bipartisan support for some of the pieces of the IRA that the stakeholders don't think that 45Z is dead at this point. So I asked Joe Glauber, former USDA chief economist, what his thought on the survivability of a program like 45Z. He didn't give me a yes or no, it's going to survive answer, but he did say, listen, supporting domestic demand and biofuels production in the middle of a trade war makes a lot of sense. I think it does too. So if you are so inclined, your message to your senators, your message to your representative should be, let's get E15 done year-round, nationwide availability. Get that done first, and then turn your attention to 45Z, because that can provide some of the long-term support and domestic demand development that we're going to need.
Chip, ProFarmer reporting this week that LanzaJet is warning that tariffs on Brazilian ethanol could actually raise U.S. sustainable aviation fuel costs. Chip, I've got a solution.
Do you?
It doesn't come from Brazil. I'm pretty sure we could produce that with the corn grown right here in the U.S.
Exactly. 45Z is the way that we can get ethanol to jet. 45Z is renewable diesel. 45Z can continue to push us toward that the sustainable aviation fuel market. And once we get that thing opened up, Tyne, there's a lot of demand from the plains.
Yeah, it seems like this does fit in the president's America First agenda. So we'll see how this plays